So, interviewing DJ Little Wolf. So, I figured I would take the time to make a video like this, mostly because in all the time that I've spent in the world, I've started to now really see a way that I feel the world could be better if we all just stopped and listened to the right person. So, putting aside the fact that I don't know who thinks I would really be the right person to give advice to the world, but I've also decided that as a father, I want to be the kind of person that when the world wakes up and realizes all the crap going on, that they all look and go, you know, at least we can say that no matter what, this person did a good job. This person tried to be a good person. And that is the reason that I am making these videos. So what these videos entitle is a series of questions that will all be answered by me. One of those questions starts with, what's wrong with the world today? And I know, loaded question, huh? How could I ever possibly answer that? Especially with everything going on right now. I mean, let's look at it. We got COVID-19, which, if you're not careful and you're not safe, could get you killed. You've got riots all over the world. And granted, I do understand why the country is rioting. But at the same time, we've had hundreds of thousands of protests throughout our history. Everything from the most peaceful protest all the way up to the most violent protest. And I know the one thing that I've learned from watching TV over the years and from personally experiencing a lot of things is that what's wrong with the world today is that we all live in a way that we all feel we are better than the man next to us. We are better than the person that you see sitting on the side of the road. We're better because we have more money. We're better because we have a bigger house. We're better because we have the best grades and blah, 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 blah. And what it really boils down to is material things are nothing more than an added asset to your life. Is it great that you can afford to go out, do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want? Yeah, that's awesome. And that is not what I'm trying to take away from the world. What I want to take away from the world is I want to take away all the misguided lessons. For example, when someone says they're in pain, the first thing anyone thinks to do is, hey, how can I make your pain stop? How can I make your pain go away? If you're a good person. If you're a bad person, or maybe not a bad person, just somebody who doesn't care, when someone says that they're in pain, you'll just, oh, sorry, wish I could do something for you, and you walk away. But it seems like the world forgets that there's always something you can do. There's definitely a lot of options as far as making the world a better place that you could go. You could talk to that person. You could comfort that person. Even if you don't know that person, sometimes all somebody needs is just someone to sit down and listen to them talk. Because life is beating down on them. Things are stressful in a world that they don't understand. I mean, the world today is not the world that it was meant to be. We live in a world where, you know, it's all about the competition. Who's the best at this? Who's the best at that? How can I make the most money? How can I own the nicest car? How can I own the best business? How can I be the best person? How can I be this? How can I be that? And it all boils down to a very simple question. What's wrong with the world today? What's wrong with the world today is that we no longer care as a society. We have given up on being friendly and being polite and holding doors open and offering assistance to those in need. you see somebody struggling, or somebody, trying to do better, or somebody trying to live their life, but they have so much going on that they can't handle it all. But yet, you have a perfect life. Everything for you is simple. You're content with your decisions and everything. So why not take 5 minutes out of your day to look at that person that's upset, or that person that's in pain, or that person that needs help to get to a better future? Why not take 5 minutes to sit down and say, hey, you're having a bad day. I can see things are going really rough for you. How about you tell me what's wrong? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to get an answer. They're going to look to you and they're going to say, I appreciate you asking, and this is what is bothering me right now. And you may not be able to help that person. You may not be able to take anything that you have as a resource and make that situation better for that person. But what can you do? You can sit there. You can just sit there and listen for 5 minutes to what that person has to say. And you can make their whole day by doing so. Just by saying, hey man, what's wrong? Why are you upset today? And the reason that you made that person's day better already is because they didn't think that anyone cared about what was wrong. So they sat there and they sulked and listened to their own pains and their own problems and didn't want to bother the rest of the world for help. But what did you do? You made it so they didn't have to bother the rest of the world. You looked down to them, or looked at them, and you said, hey, let me share that load. What is wrong? How can I help you today? And sometimes the best way you can do that is just hearing what they have to say. You gave them someone to talk to. You gave them a way to relieve some of that stress. And question number 2. So question number 2 is a much simpler question. Why do I like music personally? So me as a DJ, or even before I was a DJ actually, growing up, to me, music has always been about changing the world, about creating a series of sounds and beats and notes and lyrics that didn't just sound good on a CD, or didn't just make you think, okay, this is cool to listen to. Music's purpose was intended to bring people together, to give people something to celebrate in a world where life is so excruciatingly painful that sometimes music is the only way that any of us can escape. Growing up, I had a very hard life, and it wasn't always that way. It didn't start out a hard life, but I made my own life harder. I made decisions that weren't better for anybody, not including myself. And what helped me really get through that, and what helped me deal with all the emotional stress and drama and pain and heartache and things that other people just couldn't help me with, was music. I would sit down, or I would go for walks, or I'd go for a ride, and I would just listen to music over and over and over. Different sounds, different tracks, different lyrics, different kinds of ways that I could relate and build a better mindset just by listening to music. Now, question number 3. What would I like to achieve with my music? So the reason that I decided to start really making music and trying to put it out into the world was because I want to do for the world what music does for me. I want to change the world. I want to come out and I want to find my audience and I want to say, listen to me. I want to make your life better. I want to make everyone's lives better. I don't want to be just another DJ that goes to your party and plays your sounds. I don't want to be just another guy you see on the street and you're like, oh cool, he seems like a chill person. I don't. I want to be a world changer. And what's the best way to do that? The best way to do that is to send a message to the world. And what's the easiest way to send a message that everybody will listen to and everybody will hear to the world? Music. Now, what I plan to truly achieve with my music is to send the greatest message of all. A message that explains what we need to do as not only a society, but as a country, as a species, as a lifestyle, just everything. I want the world to know that we could not only just be better, but that we should be better. Why is it that we decide who should have a good life and who shouldn't? Why is it that our government decides who our president should be and who should run our country and who should make decisions for us? How does that make sense? And those are the kind of messages that I want to send through music. I want people to see the truth, but also understand that the truth can lead you to a better path. That we could all fix the world with a few simple equations, a few simple mind thoughts, a few simple changes to life. But the problem is, people have to be willing to listen for anything to ever truly happen. Now my next question on here is an opportunity to give you an example. So, a little while ago, I had a poem come into my mind in the form of a song. And at first it didn't make sense. At first, it was just something that my head threw out and I had no idea what it was, what the purpose of it was, or what it was going to be for. Until I finally finished it. And it made sense. I understood. And I kind of want to go over this poem and I want to break it into sections and I want to talk about it. So to do that, I'm going to read you the whole thing, start to finish, and then I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go back and I'm going to explain section by section what this poem is supposed to mean. So the poem is called Mother Earth, and the reason that it's called Mother Earth is explained in the poem. And it says, "Now let me tell you the story of a boy who wanted to be a man. He always dealing with hardship and never seeing an end. He was small on the outside. He never wanted to be tall, never wanted to be bigger, and never wanted to beat them all. Until one day, when life showed him the way, he split his head open and the pain started to fade away. He started to learn and he started to see that the pain in his life was never supposed to be. Then as he opened his eyes, he didn't know what to believe. Was life really that bad, or could he ever find peace? And that's when she came and looked to him and said, 'You were never meant to feel pain, and you're not dead. You just haven't learned the way of me, the way of life, like it should be. It's supposed to be peaceful, and it's supposed to be free. It's supposed to be beautiful, and not full of disease. The world was hurt and burnt, and then put aside. It was treated like trash, like it was never alive. Now I do have a reason, and this is why. I never wanted to be in charge. When I left, the world was at large. It was the people in charge that never believed that it was always free. So they ripped and they teared, leaving the world in despair. Now I want you to be free and I want you to believe. So let me tell you how you can set the world free. You have to open your heart and remember to be smart. You must listen to the earth, or you will never see that the pain in this planet can be released. You can live a happy life and you can always be free. You just have to let go of the past and remember to find peace." And that was the moment when the boy opened his eyes and realized that all his pain was truly his disguise. And once he opened his heart and decided to set himself free, that was the moment he finally found peace. And now I'm here as a man and not as a boy, and I want to tell you the world is not a toy. All the people in the world, all the girls and the boys, it's time to wake up and give the world its choice. And this is the choice that everyone must see, is the choice that everyone works together to find true love and peace. We must love life equally in order to be free, and remember not to hate, and that is the way that it must be, if our world is ever going to find peace. And that is my poem, Mother Earth. Now I would like to explain it to you. So in my first verse it says, "Now let me tell you the story of a boy who wanted to be a man, always dealing with hardship and never seeing an end. He was small on the outside, he never wanted to be tall, never wanted to be bigger, would have never beat 'em all." So what that's saying is that me as a person growing up, I was a small kid. And I'm still a small person. I'm only 5'7". I'm not tall, I'm not heavily muscular. I'm not somebody that you're going to walk down the street and immediately notice and go, "Oh my God, he is awesome. He's this person, he's that person." And then it goes on to say, until one day, life showed him the way. He split his head open and the pain started to fade away. And what that represents is that actually represents something that happened to me. About 2 years ago, I split the top of my head open. I ended up with a severe brain injury, one that affected both the front and back of my brain, and has a 6-year recovery time. So technically I'm still on 4 more years of recovery before my brain fully heals. But it wasn't until I split my head open and I experienced a whole new aspect of life, which was death. I came within a hair of dying, and I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel anything. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was going on. I barely had any memory. All I knew is one day I went out, and next day I woke up in a hospital, confused. And then it says the pain started to fade away. So when the pain started to fade away, what that means is I literally almost died. My mother and my father both came to the hospital. They stayed with me the entire time because they didn't know if I was ever going to wake up. I was a hair away from either dying or ending up in a coma, and I never would have made anything of my life. I never would have changed anything. I would have spent the rest of my life being unhappy because I would have never learned the lesson that I learned from almost dying. And that lesson, it goes on in my poem. It says, he started to learn and he started to see that the pain in his life was never supposed to be. But now let me break that down. Yeah, I started to learn about, pain. I started to see things differently, and I really started to understand what life was trying to teach you and what it was trying to teach me. And it's not so much that pain wasn't ever supposed to exist, it's that we as people have forgotten the purpose of pain. All we all want to do is make pain go away and make it impossible to feel. We forgot that pain was never really meant to be a stopping point. Pain was meant to be a lesson. It was made to teach us a way to get through life and to do things without having to be in pain. It was made so that when we got hurt, we learned a lesson. When you touched a hot stove, you knew not to do it again because it hurt. Or when you hurt someone's feelings, you knew that you didn't want to do that again because it hurt you. It made you feel guilty. It made you feel like you were in pain because you did something wrong and you knew it. And that is the whole point of pain. Pain is there to teach us to be better than how we wanted to. Pain is there to teach us to be better than ourselves and be better than what we want people to think we are, if that makes sense. Pain was put there to give us a true understanding of life. So, going into my next verse, it says, "Then as he opened his eyes, he didn't know what to believe. Was life that bad, or could he ever find peace? And that was when she came and looked to him and said, 'You were never meant to feel pain, and you're not dead. You just haven't learned the way of me, the way of life, like it should be.'" So, with that being said, it's a really simple verse, even though it has such a complex meaning. It says that as he opened his eyes, so as I woke up in the hospital, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know if I was dying. I didn't know if I was going to survive. I didn't know if I'd ever recover. I didn't know anything. All I knew was I was in a hospital. And that's when she came and looked to him and said, see, now this doesn't take place at the exact moment that I was at the hospital. At the point that this starts to take place, I had changed quite a lot about my life. I had fixed a lot of things. But I was also going through a really hard time trying to make the changes that needed to be changed in order for life to be happy. And what it means by saying you haven't learned the way of me, the way of life, like it should be. It's supposed to be peaceful, it's supposed to be free, it's supposed to be beautiful and not full of disease. So the world was never created to be a place of hatred and pain and suffering and disease, trash, and all these horrible things that we hear about and see about and read about, or so on and so forth. The world, when it was created at the very beginning, whether it was created by God or Mother Earth or some celestial being that none of us will ever understand, is that when the earth was created, it was obviously designed to be a place of beauty and wonder, a place that would provide life to everyone for millions and millions of years. So how did we go so wrong? How did we make things the way they are now? Deforestation, killing off the planet, trash, pollution, global warming, people fighting with each other, racial bullshit, and so on and so forth. Everything just turning into a war after war after war after war after war. And what are we coming into now in 2020? With everything going on, we have everyone in the world pitted against someone or something. Everybody wants to fight for a reason. And I'm not saying that our reasons are wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be fighting. All that I'm saying is that we should be fighting from a different angle. Instead of going out with weapons and guns and violence and anger and just making martyrs of people of a world that is damaged at the moment, a world that doesn't understand why it's in so much pain. And my next part is the world was hurt and burnt and then put aside. It was treated like trash, like it was never alive. And what that's supposed to mean is quite simply what it says, is that we've treated the world like trash. We've burned it, we've beaten it, we've abused it, we've ripped holes out of it, we've polluted it, we've taken everything bad that we would never do to a person, and we've done it to our planet. And our planet is telling us in very subtle ways, and sometimes some not so subtle ways, that it is not happy with what we're doing. We have tornadoes, we have hurricanes, we have weather pattern changes, animal mood changes, plant life changes, we have water life changes, we have ocean level changes, we have moon changes, sun changes, everything changes in some way. And everything that we do in the world, every piece of trash, every piece of pollution, every time we drive a car, every time we change something in the world that wasn't already changed, we create a new scenario, a new problem that the Earth has to deal with. Whether it's a hotter area where it's not supposed to be hotter, or a colder area where it's not supposed to be colder, Mother Earth has to change her patterns to make up for what we do wrong. And then we all question, we wonder, why are these hurricanes coming? Why are these tornadoes coming? Why are the earthquakes coming? Why, if there's a God up there, is he doing all these horrible things to us? But if we ever stopped to look back, if we ever pointed the fingers at ourselves, what are we doing wrong? Why is the earth, or God, or our celestial, or whoever we believe in, why is that person punishing us? Is it because we're a bad person? No, I mean, to us, we may feel like we're the greatest people on the planet. But what are we doing wrong? We're not thinking about the planet that we live on. We're not thinking about the gift that we were given when we were given life on this planet. The most beautiful planet in our solar system, the most beautiful planet in our galaxy. That's livable, breathable, and amazing and beautiful in every way. What are we giving back to the earth? That is the question I want you to think about from that. And it says, now I do have a reason, and this is why. I never wanted to be in charge, and when I left, the world was at large. It was always peaceful. It was the people in charge that never believed, so they ripped and they teared, leaving the world in despair. And this is kind of going with another question that I'm going to be speaking a little more about later, but for now, so what that means is that whoever created our world, whether it was God, our mother, or so on and so forth, whoever created our world, or whatever created our world, did it for a reason. And it made it as beautiful as it made it for a reason. The world was always free. The world was never told what it could or could not do, therefore it makes its own decisions. We take away the world's choice every time we cut out a piece of land, or we develop something new, or we build this great and wonderful eyesore to stare at so that we can be better people, so that we can be more popular, more famous, more amazing, and do all these great things. But what do we give back to the world when we do that? Do we plant 1,000 new trees for the hundreds of thousands of trees that we cut down? No. Do we go to a wildlife sanctuary and pick up the trash that hundreds of people walk through and just throw down because they don't care? It's a wildlife sanctuary. Somebody's getting paid to pick up that trash, right? Wrong. So many things in the world were left for us as human beings to care about, and we didn't. What are you doing? Now I want you to be free and I want you to believe, so let me tell you how you can set the world free and be the man you'll always wanted to be. So what this is saying is, I don't want you to suffer. I don't want you to be in pain. I don't want you to hate your life. I want you to be free. I want you to believe that you can be happy, that you can live your best life without destroying everything else in the process. So I'm going to give you the answers. I'm going to literally tell you how to solve the problems that we're dealing with in the world. Every single one. And it all starts with very simple steps. Now, listen closely, and if you truly care, you'll hear. You'll know. I won't have to go over the rest of this because you will know how to make the world better. It says you have to let go of the pain and let go of the past. You have to open your heart and remember to be smart. You must listen to the earth or you will never see that the pain in the planet can be released. Now, does that mean that you have to take all that pain and just get rid of it? It doesn't exist anymore? No. What is pain? Pain is a lesson. When you have a child and your child does something that hurts and you feel so sorry for that child, oh baby, it's okay, come here, daddy loves you. I'm sorry that hurt, but you learned a lesson from it. You won't do it again because it hurt. And that is the biggest lesson that everybody seems to forget, is that pain was designed to teach us a lesson. When we do something wrong and it hurts us, we're supposed to know, okay, we can't do that again, it hurts. But yet we still do. We continue to repeat pain over and over and over again, but we don't ever learn anything from it, therefore it just keeps hurting, it keeps getting worse, it keeps feeling like you'll never change, you'll never fix it. And this next part says, you can live a happy life and you can always be free. You just have to let go of the past and remember to find peace. So what that's meaning is I'm not saying, like, especially with everything going on in the world right now, we've got the Confederate stuff that's causing all sorts of issues. We've got, whose life matters more that's causing tons of issues. and all this other stuff. And it all boils down to a very simple thought process, is that forgiveness is always your greatest solution. We have people in charge that want us to forget the past. They want us to stop thinking about the lessons that we were taught in life and the things that we've learned, and they want us to move towards a future that's different, a future that hasn't existed to them yet. But see, the problem is by them telling us to just forget the past and move towards this new future is a simple problem with that. Is that if you forget the past, you're destined to relive the past. All the pain that is caused in the past was a lesson. It was a historical moment that taught us that causing that much pain in the world was a bad idea. That causing that much pain in the world changed it. But did it necessarily make it better? Did it necessarily make it worse? We live in a world where any country, any person, any race, any ethnicity, anybody who wants to come to America and say, I want to be free, I want to speak my opinion, and I want to be my own person, I want to live my own life and do things my way. Because we live in the world that we live in, you can do that here. You can do that in America. But what if we were like some other countries? What if we were like third world countries? Because we didn't have a war, because we didn't learn from our mistakes, because we didn't realize that we had fucked up. But what did we learn? We learned our lesson. Our lesson was that it hurt so bad that it changed everybody in the world for the better. It made people open their eyes and go, oh my God, what did I do? What did we do? What have we done? So what did we do? We put rules in place. We put constitutions in place. We made changes so that we would be better people, so that we would be a better country. And what did we do? We turned around, we looked that country in the face, we looked our friends, our family, our neighbors, our community in the face, and we said, fuck you. We're done. We don't like it anymore. We don't want to be free. We don't want to be a part of your society. We want to run things our way. Is that necessarily bad? No. Our government is fucked. Our government has us pinned against each other. Our media has us pinned against each other. The world has us pinned against each other. And for what purpose? To make lives better for everyone? No. What did we do? We chose a select few amount of people, or a select group of people, or a select area of people, and we said, we're gonna make their lives better. Not ours, not our neighbors, not our friends, not our family, not our communities, but their lives better. Okay, that's great. But what about the rest of the world that people are forgetting? What about all those lessons that we learned when we stole land from Native Americans, when we owned slaves that we never should have owned, when we burned and killed and murdered and fought so that we could live this way, and we're just reverting back to what we were before? Where somebody else is superior than the rest of us, where somebody else is better? And that is what letting go of the past and remembering to find peace means. It is time to stop living in the past and remembering the pains of people who were never even involved in those historical situations. The people who were involved in those historical situations and made those changes learned their lesson. And they tried to make the world better by helping everybody for it. Why aren't we? It says, that was the moment the boy opened his eyes and realized that all his pain was truly his disguise. And once he opened his heart and decided to set himself free, that was the moment he finally found peace. And now I'm here as a man and not as a boy, and I want to tell you that the world is not a toy. All the people in the world all the girls and the boys, it's time to wake up and give the world a choice. And the choice that everybody needs to see is the choice that we can either work together to find true love and peace and live life equally in order to be free, or we can continue down this war path that we're already on. We can continue to fight with our friends, our neighbors, our country, our community. We can continue to pull out our guns and our knives and our hammers and our sludges and all this other crap that we're doing, and we can continue to attack people. But is that going to change the world for the better? Or is that going to make things worse? And I want you to really think about that. I want you to look into your own heart and ask yourself if going out and beating up some random old dude, or going out and hurting a child, or if going out and saying, you know what, I'm going to vote for a guy who wants to touch my children inappropriately, or you know what, I'm going to go out and vote for a guy who doesn't give two shits in the wind about all the people that are in the lower class of the world. Now here's a real question. There's more poverty people, there's more broke people, there's more people like me who don't have a dime to their names that they can use to go out and have fun, to go out and party, to go out and do what they want to do with their lives. What that means is that most of our population suffers daily. We work from morning to night just to survive for our families, because that's the only way we can do anything. It's the only way we can survive. Is that the world that we were supposed to live in? Is that the way that things are supposed to be? Why is it that the people with the most money in the world are the ones that are running the world? Why is it that the people that own multi-million-dollar companies get to decide how we with nothing get to live? Ask yourself that question. And the next line is, remember not to hate. Why do you hate? What is it that you're so passionate about that makes you hate something or someone? Why isn't it simpler to look at that person that you don't know, that you don't care about, that is no longer important to how you live your life? You control your life. You make your life the way you want to make it. Why does that person have a say in it? They don't. You can look at the next person who looks at you and says, you need to live your life this way, you need to do this, and you can say, no. It's my life. I make my decisions. I do what I want to do. I go where I want to go, and I be who I want to be. And this is the point that I'm trying to make to the world with my thing that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But the only way that our world is ever going to find peace is if we start remembering the truth. And the truth is that pain is a lesson that's made to teach us about our mistakes. That hating people only causes more anger in the world. It doesn't change your life. It doesn't change their lives. By hating people, the only thing you're doing is putting anger into the world and not listening. Not only to yourself, but to the world that is begging for a change. Now we're going to go back to my next few questions. So my next question is, where do I see myself in 5 years? So in 5 years, I'm hoping that enough people have listened to my message and heard my music and understood what I'm trying to tell people, what I'm trying to tell the world. And I'm hoping that within the next 5 years or so, that people will finally start to follow me. Not follow me specifically as a person. I don't want to lead the world. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want people to look at me and go, you know, we need to do whatever he says, because that's not the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you want to live a better life and you want to be happier not just as a family, but as a person or as a society. Do you want your kids to grow up hating everyone? Do you want your kids to grow up thinking that everybody is better than them? Do you want your kids to grow up broke and suffering and working to death for the rest of their lives? No. In 5 years, I want to live in a better world. I want to go outside, look at my neighbor and say, hey, what's up? How have you been? We hung out last Thursday. That was great. I want to wake up and go to the grocery store and see my cashier and say, hey, thank you for what you're doing today. You're doing a great job. I really appreciate, you showing up to work every day and doing something to make the world better. Or how about even something simpler? I want to go to the gas station and stand around other people and not feel uncomfortable. And not feel like anyone at any moment is going to pop off and just flip out because this person said this, or that person said that, or that person said that. Who fucking cares? Who cares what somebody you don't know says about you? Who cares what somebody you don't know thinks? I don't. I get called names all the time. I get called some of the worst stuff in the book because of who I am. I'm a bisexual, Native American, Spaniard that looks like a white dude. That is a whole shit ton of funny all in one sentence. Do I look like a good person? I don't know. Most people think I look like some bad boy or some badass or some mean person. I'm not. I am the most loyal person in the world when it comes to my family and my friends. Any one of my family members could call me right now, right this very second, or even my friends could call me right this very second and say, hey man, I'm sorry to bug you, but hey, could you loan me $10? Could you give me a ride? Could you help me do this? I really need someone to help me. And I will. I will stop whatever it is that I'm doing, and I will go help that person. Unless I'm doing something that's more important, like my daughter. If my daughter needs my help, my sons need my help, my wife needs my help, I'm there. Because that's what you're supposed to do as friends and family. You're supposed to be there for the people that need you. So that when the time comes, they will be there for you instead of going, can't help you. And all those selfish people in the world that don't care, that don't want to help other people, that don't want help, that don't want nothing, they just want to watch the world burn. If we all stopped listening to them and started walking away and building ourselves and building our families and building our relationships with the world, those little groups of haters would no longer be important. They would no longer matter in 5 years. Because we all worked harder to change the world, to be better people. So, next question I have is, why did the government make us a divided country? I mean, think about that for a second. Our country started out as hell during the Confederate War. During the Confederate War, we fought over, was the southern part of the United States going to remain independent, or were we going to become an entire country that cared about people, that cared about our lives, that cared about our rights, that cared about freedom of speech, that cared about all the things in the world that we live by today. But yet, we have people who are rich who are in power, people who are poor are suffering. We have Republican and Democrat parties. We have all these different things that show that we're not truly equal. We're all divided. And unless we get what we want as part of this party, or part of this party, or part of this group, or part of this situation, or part of this, we don't want to be a part of the world. Why is that? Why can't we make decisions on an equal basis? Why can't we sit down, the rich and the poor, and decide who is going to make the best decisions for our country, for our world? Why can't we as humans sit down and say, okay, I see you make a lot of good points about white lives matter, or black lives matter, or all lives matter, or so on and so forth. Why can't we sit down as a society and discuss it? Why do we have to fight? Why do we have to protest? Because the people in charge say that what we want is unacceptable, because what we want is not important, because what we want isn't going to change for the better. It's not going to put more money in somebody's pockets. It's not going to make something better for their beliefs. We say no, or they say no, so that we fall under their jurisdiction, so that we fall under their rules. But is that the way the country was intended? I mean, look at our constitutions, look at our rights, look at everything that our forefathers and their forefathers and their forefathers wanted to provide for us. They wanted us to have the freedom of speech. They wanted us to have the rights to bear arms should our government ever turn against us. They wanted us to have the right to protect ourselves, our family, our friends, and the people that are important. But yet we're not allowed to do that because the government says so. I think that question kind of answers itself. And now we boil down to my final question. The most important question I feel to be discussed. I put a post on Facebook recently called #TheLittleWolfPath. And I started putting it out to the world that I want a different life. I want a different change. I want things to be different. Now, does that mean I want to be rich? Does that mean I want to be famous? Does that mean I want people to look out and scream my name when they see me on the streets? No, I don't. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be popular. I don't want to be important to a world that doesn't give a shit about anyone or anything. The only thing I want is I want to make the world a better place. I want to make the world a better place for me. I want to make the world a better place for other people. I want to make the world a better place so that when our kids and our kids' kids and their kids grow up, they can look back and say, you know what? I'm happy about what happened. I'm happy that we live in the world we live in today. I'm happy that we have friends and family who care. I'm happy that our decisions are made based off of equality and caring, rather than who has this and who has that and what's the best way to do this or that. I want to live in a world where we can look back and say we are proud to be Americans. I don't want to live in a world where everyone hates everybody, or I don't want to live in a world where we have to fight to survive. I don't want to live in a world that's full of pain and anger and hatred all the time. I want to live in a world where we can fuck up and hurt somebody or hurt ourselves and feel that pain and think about it and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What did I do? I made a mistake. I fucked up. And I understand what I did wrong, and I'm never going to do it again. Or I'm going to work harder to make sure that I don't repeat my mistakes. I'm going to work harder to make sure that the world understands that we can all be happy, that we can all be equal, and that we can all be free. Just by treating people better, by making decisions based on communication rather than demands. Why is it that we feel we have the right to look at anyone and go, I demand that you do this? Who are you to that person? You're some stranger on the street that feels that they should be doing something differently because they don't fit your lifestyle? Why? Your lifestyle is your lifestyle. Your friends are your friends. Your family is your family. Why do those people have to change to make you happy? Why can't we all live our own lives, separately but equally, happily but blissfully. Why do we have to fight with our neighbors? Why do we have to fight with our friends? Why do we have to fight with our community? Just because we don't agree with their decisions? Do we feel the need? Do we feel like we'll be better if we do that? You tell me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of my video. This is the end of my speech. Hashtag the Little Wolf's Path is an opportunity for us to work together, for us to band together as a society and as a group and say that we don't want to live in this world anymore. That we want to change the world to be better so that when our kids grow up, the world is better. The Little Wolf Path is strictly and solely about making changes that are going to benefit the world rather than making changes that benefit just ourselves. Why is it we can't just do something that's good for everyone? Why can't we spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes one day all together and go pick up trash off the roads, or maybe pull our boats out of the water, maybe shut all the lights off for a day? Why can't we as all together on the Little Wolf Path work for a better future? And I'm signing off with my final and personal speech, and that is that if you feel the way that I feel, if you're watching this and you're hearing the words that I'm saying, and you feel that you want to be part of something bigger, that you want to change the world and make it a better place, then I implore you to follow me. Share my message, spread it to the world. Give everybody a chance to hear what you've heard, and make them see what you see. Make them feel what you feel. Help them understand that being human is so much more than just having what we want. Make them understand that being human is about caring about everyone's life, about everyone's soul, about everyone's happiness. That being human is just that. It's being human, being caring, being kind, being forgiving. But anyway, guys, this is DJ Little Wolf signing off with a hashtag, the Little Wolf Path. Thank you for listening, and thank you for enjoying. Hopefully you took my message and you truly understood it, and hopefully you'll spread it with your friends, spread it with your family, spread it to the world, and join me in trying to make a better world and trying to make a better place. And if you have any ideas on how we can do that, if you want to go for a run, if you want to start a protest, a peaceful protest, I will not riot and I will not stand arm in arm to cause more violence in a world that does not need it. But if you have an idea that you think could change the world and you want to make things better with a group that also wants to do the same thing, send me a message. Contact me personally. And we can work together. We can band together with other people around the world. And we can make changes for the better. Thank you, and have a great night, ladies and gentlemen. And remember to like and subscribe and follow me for a better world. DJ Little Wolf signing off.
Beat time. Peace.
Oh, nice. I'm dead. Oh, nice. I'm dead. Nog una surt på deg. Oh, nice. Nog una surt på deg. Oh, nice. I'm dead.
Hey, where's Perry?
Perry just loves music.
you are, Perry.